Drag Racing Fan, Monday Morning Racer, live in studio. I'm back. Look, let me give a shout out first and foremost to Darren Williams Jr., American Hot Rod Entertainment. He had the A-Gas champion last week, Gabriel Burrell. What a great show that was. This week, well, yours truly is back, and we've got later on tonight, around about 8:30, Mr. Ron Allison, super stock champion in the Southeast Gassers Association. And when you start diving into his life, 77 years of it, he's definitely got some interesting things to speak on, wins and championship in Southeast Gasser Association competition this year in my most favorite class. I love super stock the most out of all the Southeast Gasser action, though it is all stellar. Again, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not found yourself to a Southeast Gasser Association race, you definitely need to do that. Well, what's on tap for tonight? You've heard about the guest. We want to talk drag racing. We're going to bring you some news. We're going to bring you some look forward to this weekend type of material, and we're going to look back in particular at the NHRA finals there in Pomona. And I want to get your take from watching NHRA.tv, from watching the Fox broadcast, however you've caught it, what you thought and what you were feeling through the championship runs that were occurring and what could happen. I was in the stands filming, and you've got so many things running through your mind of what can happen in those type of situations. So it is good to have each and every one of you. If would, you can tell I'm kind of looking down. I'm looking down at my phone, actually. Why am I doing that? I am going to find the show, and I'm going to hit the share button and the like button. And if you could do that for me, I would greatly appreciate that. So find it, like it, share it. Matter of fact, if you can watch on YouTube, that would be great. But if you're right here on Facebook, or if you're watching on Twitter, especially on Twitter, chime in and let us hear from you. Now, I also want to give notice to each and every one of you that right now, Darren Williams Jr., American Hot Rod Entertainment, who hosted last week, he is, like 75 subscribers away from 1,000 subscribers, okay? As a YouTuber, hitting 1,000 subscribers opens up a lot of doors. You can finally look at the process of being monetized. You can finally start having your community tab and share things within YouTube that are like still photos. You can start adding people and be added within the descriptions of videos and those type of things. So he is near that milestone. After the show tonight, if you have not already, go over to American Hot Rod Entertainment on YouTube and hit the subscribe button. Well, let me get to a few of the comments here. Drag Racing Central, hello. Stan MMR, good to have you along, Stan. Let's see what you're saying. Have to talk about what classes are going to be at each race next year. PM10 races done in Vegas. Yes, I know that came out. I'm not going to tackle that right now. We've got a lot of time to tackle that and break it down. I really like the factory stock schedule. It looks good, and they are focusing on, where these racers are from. And in particular, it seems like a lot of the racers, whether it's Pro Mod or whether it's even factory stock, where are they from? Midwest, East Coast, and that's where they are focusing on. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Drag Racing Central, shout out to the NHRA social team this weekend. They actually built hype around the event this weekend for once. Yeah, I feel like the NHRA did a good job across the board with this final race. I do want to say this. I'm surprised that I didn't find it on Competition Plus Power Hour. I haven't found it in any of the comments on social media either, but the crowd was light. It was not that great of a crowd at Pomona. It did not remind me anything of the 2019 finals. I was there in 2019, and there was a good crowd and a responsive crowd. Was not the case this time around, and Obviously, we look back into the summer, and that was an abysmal crowd. I've got to say this concerning Pomona. I think you're looking at a situation where you have individuals within a particular area, region, state that, well, they have been given a different perspective on COVID than maybe many of the people watching this show, and possibly, I know even myself, like living in North South Carolina. So I think you've got a populace that is very concerned still with COVID. I think that's a possibility. And I don't know what the NHRA can do because it is a fairplex, Los Angeles County Fairgrounds part of the facility. But when I went there for the first time in 2019, the ticket that I purchased was the most expensive ticket that I had ever purchased for a NHRA drag race. A 3-day pass, most expensive I've ever paid for an NHRA drag race, and $15 for general admission parking, $30 for pit side parking. I think in this time that we're in right now, with inflation, with COVID, with what is happening in, LA, Southern California, I think that's a tall order for people to buy the most expensive ticket in the latter half of a pandemic. I think that all plays into effect. With that being said, what a great year for NHRA on TV. We kicked off the year with the Gator Nationals, one of the top 5 most viewed broadcasts for the NHRA in its history. We had the most viewed broadcast in the NFL lead-in, lead-out with the production that was put on from ZMAX Dragway of the DeWalt Carolina Nationals, and ended the year with record average numbers from the Fox television team. Congratulations to them. I have had the pleasure of interviewing Steve Reinches, the vice president of Fox Broadcasting there with NHRA. So Steve, your team, Amanda Busick, Brian Loans, Laura, all of you, congratulations for a job well done. And to everyone out there that likes to say that NHRA drag racing is dead or dying, just shut up. The numbers do not work in your favor. Let me go to the comments really quickly. Oh, see, that's the truth. 875 on GBR. Sorry, Going Bracket Racing, guys. Check out that channel. Not sure what I'm jumping in on there. Richmond got a lot of love with classes in 2022. I noticed that, and that is good. That is very good. Vegas fall is no longer a major now. Gators, Norwalk, Indy, and Dallas, which that makes sense. Those are tried and true for sure. Vegas definitely needs some love. I hope in the future we actually, as I have said many times, we end at Vegas. Drag Racing Central, he says, track should have only one race. I agree. I think there's a way to work out maybe double weekends at one place and trucks don't move. I think that's a possibility, but I would rather them have one race a year for the facilities that we're talking about. Stan says, an old-time racer said it was the worst Pomona crowd ever. It's possible. I think the summer was probably worse from everything I hear, but yeah, it was tough. It was tough for sure. Drag Racing Central, are the ticket prices different from track to track? Yes, they are. I've only been to Maple Grove with my family, only $120 for 3 people. I would say $120 for 3 people, that's pretty good. That's maybe lower of average possibly. But yes, there are different prices per track. And you also have to factor in parking. I remember the first time I went to an NHRA national event and I paid for parking. I was a bit shocked because my home national event was the Southern Nationals, and we never paid for parking at the Southern Nationals unless you were going to park at like a house and, try to get out a little earlier or something like that. You never paid there in the Southern Nationals, Atlanta Dragway there in Commerce, Georgia. I think, if I remember correctly, the first time I paid for parking at a NHRA national event was actually Charlotte. It would have been ZMAX Dragway, and it was $5, that if I recall correctly. So it wasn't too bad. And they also provided the shuttle. Great. But Pomona, general parking, $15. I think a reserved seat was $75 at Pomona. And by the way, with the crowd that there was, if you bought reserved, you did not win on that gamble for sure. Drag Racing Central, strange. I would think it would depend on seating capacity of the track. That very may well be. Drag Racing Central says, but MMR died in 1970. That's right. It did. American Hot Rod Entertainment chimes in. Yo, guys, again, go by after the show. Give American Hot Rod Entertainment a sub on his YouTube channel. Let's get him over 1,000 subs. Let's dive into some news. I want to say congratulations and make note. Todd Tutterow there in the beautiful P2 Construction, P2 Racing Pro Mod. He won the World Street Nationals 28 down there at Orlando Speed World Dragway. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, you can always tell the difference between Todd Tutterow and Kurt Stedding of the same team, because Todd has the white striped car and Kurt has the orange striped car. But King Tut gets it done again. You cannot count that man out in tuning. You cannot count that man out in driving. I have seen, in the short time I've been covering the sport as intensely as I have over the last 2 years, I have seen this man drive the wheels off of a Pro Mod. What a driver he is, and what a tuner. What can we look forward to this weekend? Well, what I like to say this. Drag racing and racing in general, it never stops now. It just moves to Florida. That's what seems to happen. We had that race there at Orlando this past weekend. Well, looking at this weekend, we've got the Snowbird Outlaw Nationals, the 50th anniversary, $50,000 on the line. And I have heard that there are people on a waiting list hoping that some don't show up, that they can show up and run for the big money in this great door slammer race. Great to see an event like this. 50 years, ladies and gentlemen, that is not an NHRA, IHRA, any other like sanction. This is a track putting on an event that's had this long storied history. It's one of the great pro mod races. In fact, I would say this is one of those races. I had an individual chime in on my YouTube channel on one of my videos about like ranking pro mod drivers. And I said, well, would you like to see something like the top 25, college football, you got the top 25 teams in the nation. And they were like, man, that would be so cool to see a ranking of like the top 16 pro mod drivers throughout the year, and it continually ebb and flow, and you rank them, hash them out from the PDRA, from these outlaw events, NHRA, NMCA, and Midwest Drag Racing Series, and you put everybody in the pecking order of where you think they should be to their performance. Well, the Snowbirds is one of those events where everyone comes together. All the rules seems to align and mesh together, and we kind of see who is really the baddest door slammer driver and tuners of the pro mod world. So keep your eyes out on the Snowbird Nationals. But that's not all. This weekend, Mel Roth, talked to him briefly at the Stampede of Speed there in Ennis, Texas for the Fall Nationals. The Streetcar Super National 17. That's this weekend also at the Strip. So they've got a lot of heavy hitters showing up for that one. It's kind of the West Coast version, if you will, of what's happening on the East Coast. So racing never stops. It just goes to like Southern California, Nevada, and Florida for sure. And we have it all year round. Love what is happening in the door car scene for sure. So make sure you all pay attention to those great events coming up. I certainly will be this weekend. In particular, though, I will be at Darlington Dragway in Darlington, South Carolina, and will be covering a Spooled Media. Corey Stamper, great promoter. He's in his own right, putting on a back of the track, no prep event. I will be there filming that. You'll see content from that later here on Monday Morning Racer. And speaking of content, you can catch A-Gas full elimination video, Superstock full elimination video, and just uploaded yesterday, B-Gas full elimination video from Shady Side Dragway, the Southeast Gassers Association final race for 2021. Well, we still got some time, and before we bring on our guest tonight, Ron Allison, Super Stock Champion, I want to take the time. We're going to look at some video of the NHRA finals there in Pomona. I did mention the crowd. That's really the only downer I think about the finals. It was a great finals. I mean, other than Steve Torrance, nothing was locked up. And even Steve, there was the possibility that he could lose the championship, though I'm sure nearly every one of us were like, yeah, this is probably a done deal. But he does get it done in round one. Great to see Cameron Foray. I had an interview with him. He made a semifinal round appearance in that Peyton Topfield Dragster, an all-Canadian team. He's been struggling to get that deal together. He's got it together. He gets him over the border. They've been doing well at other events, and here he goes rounds at his hometown facility. And what a turnaround, and what a story turnaround for Cameron from 2019. That's the last time we were at Pomona for the finals, to 2021. And if you remember 2019, what happens? He loses round one, and you have the issue with Steve. Now, all that has been mended, and Steve and him are actually buddies, and they talk to each other, and they communicate to one another. They actually have a good relationship. I've talked about that before as well. But I was there that day. Cam is one of the first drivers I even kind of worked with in doing interviews and putting information out there. That was my first day doing anything with strutmasters.com that has even kind of propelled me to this very point in my career. And if you know, Terry Haddock, who Cameron was running with, strutmasters.com was on his funny car, and there was a small sticker on Cameron's top fueler. So I was able to help them, and I was there behind the scenes that day. So it was great to see this story turn around for Cameron Foray. But let's go to the footage. Tell me in the comments, what in round one were you thinking? Did you think Ron would slip up? Did you think Greg would slip up? Did you think Erica was going to go all the way and get it from Greg? Were you hoping for that matchup of Greg and Anderson, or Matt and Ron, because they were all on the same side of the ladders? Those types of things. Definitely put in the comments, what were you thinking as you were watching the broadcast? I'm going to bring up the first video I've got for you, and that is Matt Hagan and Tony Girardo. And let me say, I'm not going to bring up every moment. I'm going to bring up the moments that were, I thought, critical to me. And this is why this is critical. Tony Girardo, you may not be familiar with that name. I did a brief little videoette for them, for their social media earlier at ZMAX. They've hit a few races this year. They've qualified for those events. It is a team that Jason Bunker is like the car chief on. Jason Bunker was with Justin Ashley his first year, and he definitely knows what to do on a team and get a team in the right direction and get performance out of a car. And they have a background in the nostalgia ranks with the Capital Punishment Funny Car. They run a Camaro in the nostalgia ranks in like the Heritage Series, for example. Well, Big Show car has been running well. 390s, in fact, and they qualified well. They go up against Matt Hagan in round one, and I'm thinking to myself, this is no givey for Matt. if they can put a good lap together and Tony can leave with him, Matt just might be in trouble. And if Matt slips up, he's going to lose this race. Let's look at round one with Matt Hagan, Tony Girardo, championship on the line.
Racing Calderoni and Son or Company, Mustang on the other. Championship. Oops, at stake. He holds on 393 to a 397.
I think that's closer than Matt was really wanting it to be, for sure. Let me go to the comment sections real quick. James says, what's up, MMR? James, good to have you watching along. Stan, anything new on Aaron Brooks staying with Foley? Yes, Stan, I've said it before, and there's nothing changing there. As far as I know, yes, Aaron Brooks is with Foley. That was just a short-term deal with him going over to Coletta. James chimes in and says, and to be honest, I'm still kind of mending a broken heart after Sunday, despite my congratulations to Greg Anderson on his Pro Stock Championship. Yes, James, big Erica Enders fan. Greg did get it done. Look, we got to recognize the greatness, though. Let's take a look at another matchup from the day in competition at the finals. Let's look at, well, Erica and Steve Graham. Now, Steve Graham may not be a household name, for sure. I helped Steve Graham a little bit at that very 2019 finals there in Pomona. He had strutmasters.com on the door that day. Got to know Steve, got to know his crew. They're very successful in Comp Eliminator. They moved up to run Pro Stock every now and then, especially the West Coast races. And in 2019, if you remember, Steve Graham beat Alex Laughlin in round one, an elite car. You know that Steve is going to go up here. No matter whether Eric is running for a championship or not, he is going to try to knock her off and get a round win and make a statement, get some TV time. Oh, Erica goes down to Steve Graham, a part-time racer. And I think there was a little bit of waiting on the lights. And they definitely threw everything they had at it to try to take Erica out. Let's look at it.
Greg is the champ. If Erica wins, well, then we'll just roll it on to the next round. Drivers into pre-stage. Set your brake pressure, look over your gauges, and wait for a minute. Erica goes in. Steve, 6.576, 209 Erica.
Steve Graham went red by 1,000th of a second. Almost perfect. Again, he was not giving anything up on Erica in that moment. He was shooting for the win. Drag Racing Central says, I'm a Caps fan, so it was the first time in a while one of my favorites won the championship. I'm a Caps fan myself. It was good to see Ron win. I picked him to win the championship. If I even recall, I picked him at the beginning of the year to win the championship. I've been actually trying to find the footage of my own picks. I didn't write them down. I said them somewhere, so I've got to go find them. But I did pick him going into the race to win the championship. So, hey, I got that one right. Let's continue in these moments and see from the finals the moments in which were great and made us wonder what's going to happen and what is going to be the scenario. And I think we all got what we did, in fact, want. Well, later on in the day, Matt, it's his to control. Matt Smith, it's in his hands, and he does get it done, and he gets it done on what? A whole shot of all things for Matt Smith.
Could be really interesting. Both of them rolling to pre-stage. Angel dives right in. She is wasting no time. And he still does. 6.808 beats 6.777.
Well, there you go. And hey, McKalen Haddock, that's Terry Haddock's boy. He chimes in. He says, I was rooting for Caps after he beat us first round. Great that he brings up that first round matchup with Terry and Ron. I believe I've got it queued up and ready to go. So that run, when I looked at the ladder and I saw Terry Haddock versus Ron Capps, I automatically went back to the New England Nationals, where Ron was out on Terry, had Terry dead to rights, but there was a mechanical failure. And as Terry always does, he keeps all the big teams honest by getting the car to A to B. And he got a round one victory over Ron in the NHRA New England Nationals. And I was like, oh my, does lightning strike twice? Does Terry Haddock play the spoiler? So keep that in mind. Let's watch some footage from New England and go right into the finals at Pomona.
Go get this done. This is biggie right here. Winner goes to the semifinals. One of those big teams get away with making a mistake. And now the car needs to win and keep the pressure on. 3.908, 325 miles an hour for Ron.
The day wasn't done for Ron, though. After that round one win and after the round one win for Matt Hagan, the championship titans for Don Schumacher Racing faced each other. Ron, he wins the championship. Matt, if he wins it, he's still the master of his own destiny, so to speak, and can go out there and possibly win the championship for himself. Round two, Ron, Matt, now. Now, it's a little bit harder to see with my angle and my footage, but if you watch the Fox or NHRA.TV footage, it's clear to see. But I'm filming, and I'm like, oh, Ron might have this. It's going to be close. Ron might have this, but he pushed out of the groove, and I'm like, that's enough for Hagan to get by. Sure enough, he gets by, and it sets up where Matt has got an opportunity to take this championship away from Ron coming in as the points leader. There are some other moments that I would like to show, but we're running out of time. Let me get to the final other ones that I want to point out. I thought about Matt Hartford and Erica Enders in Pro Stock. Technically a KB aligned car versus Elite Motorsports. What will we see there? Could he take her out and end the discussion on the championship there? What about the matchup Derek Kramer and Greg Anderson? Well, Erica gets by Matt. Greg gets by Kramer, and we have in the semifinals, I think what we all want. I think what we all pay for. It's Team Elite versus KB Racing. It's the senior members of those teams versus each other. It is a great versus a great. Greg Anderson versus Erica Enders. As I was filming that moment, I went back to 2019 when they were in round one against each other because the deck had been stacked by KB Racing, and Greg was trying to take her out to give a window of opportunity for a teammate in Jason Line. And that day, 2019, the tension, you could feel it in the stands. And even though there wasn't that great of a crowd this past weekend, again, you could feel that tension in the stands. Let's take a look at that matchup.
Still there are 30 points available per round win. Erica is more than 30 behind. So here's the simple deal. Erica needs to see 2 more win lights than Greg Anderson does today. More than Greg Anderson. And I can tell you, nothing gives Greg more satisfaction than beating Erica, who has been a tremendous thorn in his side ever since she came into the category with race-winning horsepower. Look at the bottom of the starting line. Looks like one of Ducks races, doesn't it? I love this. Pick a side, Auto Club Raceway. Are you on Team Greg? Are you on Team Erica? If he wins it, it's over. If she wins, she's got to win the final round.
Staging duel. Please be a staging duel.
Free stage. Greg's ready.
Taking her time.
Erica. Get Greg Anderson the trophy. 6.578, 208 for the win. Erica goes 674 and 206.
Boom. Greg gets it done in a titanic matchup that seals the deal for the 2021 and his 5th championship. So very quickly, let's take a look at the matchup between Alexis, Matt Hagan that sealed the deal for Ron Capps to win his 2nd championship. This was one that I was like, oh, wow. If, when Matt goes further on in the day, he gets stronger. Yet we've got an Alexis DeJoria tuned by Dale Worsham that has been having great runs and great performance and been picking up wins late in the year. I was like, this is a toss-up. Who is going to get this one done, and what a drag race it was. Man, I'm glad there's lights at a drag race because you could not tell from the stands who won that one. That one was neck and neck all the way down. That seals the deal for Ron Capps. By the way, Tuesday night, we're going to have Ron Capps in the Competition Plus Power Hour on Competition Plus. He will join us that evening coming up, along with Aaron Stanfield and David Davies. Aaron Stanfield, the 2021 Factory Stock Showdown competitor champion. So, we're not going to take any more time. We're going to move on to our guest tonight, a champion in his own right, the Southeast Gassers Association Superstock champion, Ron Allison, and chat with him. He's got a great story. Looking forward to hearing from him and what he's got to say. Before we move on, very quickly, Terry Haddock's boy, McKaylin Haddock, he chimed in. Put in the comments, we want Terry. Or get Terry on Between the Slicks. Whatever you want to do. Let McKaylin know. Let Terry know. Because I've been wanting to get him on the show, and it just hasn't worked out. I want to get Terry Haddock on the show and have him here. We talked drag racing. He had a eventful year from round 1 victories all the way to semifinal, going across the pond and going to Bakersfield. Terry Haddock had a unique year. I know he had a great year in his drag racing career. I want Terry on the show. I'm sure you want Terry on the show. Put it in the comments section that you do. Right after this break, we're going to have Mr. Ron Allison on and chat with him on his wins, his championship, and what he enjoys doing in the Southeast Gasser Association, and that's winning in Superstock. Right after this word, well, from Power Built Tools. Power-Built Tools exemplifies innovation in the tool industry. From hand tools, power tools, and even tool storage. Check out powerbuilt.com for Power-Built Tools. And remember, use promo code MMR15 for 15% off at purchase. Mr. Ron Allison, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you, Les?
Man, I'm doing great, Been talking drag racing. Looking forward to talking to you for sure. Congratulations on the win at Shadyside. Congratulations on the 2021 Superstock Southeast Gas Association Championship. And look, let's pick up here. You are a 77-year-old man from what I have read and understood. So I want to start with first, before we dive into the racing, talk to me about your life. You've been around for a while. What have you done? What was your trade? How'd you get into racing? Those type of things.
Well, I was in the power sports business 33 years now. Actually still have the business, a family business. So that's been my life. Did a little drag racing younger, but never got too serious about it. I'm semi-retired or retired, whatever, and got to want the drag race. I've done some legend car racing and back when I was 70 years. No, this is 21 years ago. I was legend car racing. When I got out of that, got into the jet skis. I still ride jet skis, but had a few bang-ups coming off a little fast, and the family got worried, so I gave that up and got in the car with roll bars in it and just having a ball.
Yeah, high speed water, that hurts a little bit for sure. And talking about being on the water, I read that you were a jet ski speed record holder. I didn't even know they did such a thing. So talk to me about holding some speed records in that world.
Well, jet skis have drag racing too. I did a lot of that. Just really never got the hang of it, but they did have run speed alley. And 5 years ago, I set the record at 92.8 in pro stock, and that's basically a stock ski. And it is held until November the 5th, and it just got broken, so I held it for 5 years. I always said I'd go back and reset it if someone said it, but I'm afraid I'm a little old now.
Man, hey, 5 years for a record to stand up, that is stellar. As Yamaha Fixer says, Poppy loves to go fast. Man, you must love to go fast. Got a bit of adrenaline junkie life for yourself there. How did you get into the power sports business? How did that work out for you?
Well, I worked for UPS, and my wife was teaching school, and I was always interested in motorcycles and stuff, and I started a business, and it got bigger and bigger, so I had to decide what I was going to do. So I went full time with Kawasaki and then shop, which is what it is now, and have Husqvarna, Kimco, KO, several brands. It's been good to us.
So if someone is interested in purchasing a motorcycle, like myself, it's been a while. Last motorcycle I had for all of 3 days, and I totaled it in a ditch. But if I ever wanted to purchase one again, and I wanted to purchase from you, where would I show up to get a motorcycle, ATV, or anything of that nature? Where you're at, man?
It's Mid-State Motorsports, Brookville, Tennessee, right on I-40.
All right, folks, there you go. If you need a ride, I-40, there in Tennessee, go check Ron out and pick up yourself a beautiful power sport machine. Now, you mentioned legend cars. Now, let me be clear, because sometimes that term gets thrown thrown around widely. We're talking about the small motorcycle-powered coupes and sedans, right?
Yes, yes.
All
Yamaha
right.
powered.
So during your time, well, going round and round and in the legend cars, was that just asphalt? Was that dirt? What was that like? Any hairy moments in the legend cars?
Maybe a couple. It was round track. It was asphalt. You can Google Ron Allison wreck, Huntsville, Alabama, and you'll see a pretty nice little wreck.
Look, folks, he already made YouTube with the wreck. So there you go. Okay, we'll have to search that one a little later and see what Ron got himself into. Yeah, it's amazing, the legend cars. I've seen them run at Anderson Motor Speedway so many times, and they honestly are racing at facilities I don't think they were ever intended to run on, and they are as fast sometimes as late models are. But you've got this little itty bitty car, rocketing around 3-4 wide. It is some stellar racing for sure in that particular part of the motorsports world. But you're drag racing now on asphalt, Southeast Gassers Association. And man, you have got a beautiful super stocker. I'm going to bring up the photo right here. Talk to me about your drag racing machine, engine, this car, history behind it, all that.
Well, it's a 315 cubic inch small block Chevy. Weighs 3,100 pounds. Got a 4-speed transmission, clutch, of course. The car didn't look near as good as it does when I bought it, but Chevy 2s are hard to find, but one of my favorite cars. Got Larry Pritchett Mid-South Race Engines to build me a motor, and Don McDonald of Custom Metal Fabs built the car, the rear end, everything, the setup on it. And then Larry Pritchett and his wife Eunice took on the task to teach me how to drive a drag race car. So here we are.
So in going drag racing in a machine with roll bars, as you said earlier, why Southeast Gasser Association racing and why super stock? I mean, look, it's my favorite class, and if I was going to invest in Southeast Gasser Association, I think I would do super stock myself because it just seems like the most appealing thing. But why for you, and why Southeast Gasser Association?
Well, first man to the finish line. The only drag racing I like. I just don't like the bracket racing. And back in the day, that's what it was, first man to the finish line. And we got away from that. Quayne Stott brought these Southeast Gassers on, and someone told me about it, and a friend of mine, Charlie Lee, was building a car gasser for it, so I got to thinking I might like to try that. So here we are.
Well, there you go. One of the hallmarks of the Southeast Gasser Association, that very reason for you coming in. Heads up. Whoever gets to the starting line first, they win it. Turn that win light on. And you hear that often from competitors. They just like how things are set up. It might not be the most money out there. I'm sure you could take that car and go bracket racing and enter in $1 million race or something. But, bracket racing has a certain appeal. But, man, there is something about I simply got to the line before you did, buddy, and I beat you.
That's it.
So, talking about beating people, it's, from what I have read, 6 races in, and you must have got something figured out because you pick up your first win, and then from what I can tell, you went on a tear and got 5 more and ultimately picked up the championship. So what did you figure out? What did you need to figure out? How did this championship come together for you to have such a great year? And I know knock off a very tough super stock competitor, the last year's champion, Mr. Hackett, there in that beautiful Mercury Poison.
He's a tough competitor, that's for sure. But I don't know. We just I had a practice motor in for Florida the first race, and we got the good motor together and got it in for the second race. And my goal for the year, if I don't get in the finals, then I will put a driver in my car next year. So actually the first race with a good motor, I got in the finals. And Mark beat me, but he treed me, which was expected. But I seen the car was fast, and it just kept getting better and better. And Larry and Eunice kept helping me. I mean, they really believed or worked with me. I know that. I don't know how they believed in me, but they kept working with me, and we did get better. So,
well, ladies and gentlemen, let it be known that an old dog can learn new tricks in the case of like Mr. Allison here. I mean, man, look, give yourself some credit, not just the car, but you must have been getting better and better too in competition for you to pick up the wins and the championship. So congrats to you on the hard work and getting it done. I talked to a champion last night on the Competition Plus Power Hour, and Greg Anderson. Greg Anderson likes to say this: he's never seen a hard worker fail. And you must have put a lot of hard work in, and you certainly didn't fail, and you came away a winner multiple times and the 2021 champion. So pat yourself on the back, man. Don't forget that.
Thank you.
Well, look, not only did you win the championship, but you won the race that was the season finale, and I was there. So I've got footage. We're going to take a walk down memory lane of that day and look at the round-by-round action and see how everything unfolded. So talk to me about going into Shadyside. What was your place? What was your position in the championship run to win it? What did you have to do?
Well, I had to catch Mark Hackett in the round, our third round. We had 21 cars entered, and then after qualifying, it was down to 12 cars. So that hurt me. I thought we had 5 rounds going, but that cut it down 4 rounds. So it was just luck that I qualified where I did. I tried to qualify number 1, which doesn't do you any good at the Southeast Gashers. If you've got a good car, you're much better off to qualify 3rd or 4th, because you're going to get your by run when it's easier. The tougher competition, you'll get your by run. So I wanted to get 3rd or 4th, but when it come down to qualifying, I went for it, and I had a good run going. And crazily, some way or another, I went from 3rd gear to 2nd. And I don't know how the motor took it, but it did. It threw everything in the floorboard, the camera. They had cameras in there, make sure it was using the clutch. And it even threw the camera in the floorboard. So it didn't hurt the car, though. I shifted it, went on. So then the second round, we had electrical problems. Thursday and Friday, we had bad days, and Larry just worked himself to death. And Rick Varner, Kenneth Phillips came over. Those Southeast Gas people are just family. That's all you can say about them. But anyway, finally got it going Friday afternoon, and everything started working. The second round of qualifying, I had a new tachometer, and that had caused part of the problem. I thought it was time to shift. I looked, and it's 7,000. Well, I hold it, and it gets on the rev limiter. So that missed my second round of qualifying. But luckily, that put me in 4th place, which when the ladder came down, that if I could get by Rick Varner in the first round, which had to go to a backup car. He had problems with his regular car. and I knew I should beat him, but if I got around him, then I had Mark in the second round, which you couldn't ask for nothing no more than that, because that's who I had to take out, and I had to get him out early to win, because I was 5 points down. And if we'd wound up with a tie, he would have won it, and that would have been bad. So it all worked out, and I really did. I had the most confidence of all year in my and my driving for the final. The 4 rounds were perfect near.
That they were. Well, let's take a look at round 1 from Shadyside Dragway, the 2021 Southeast Gasser Association finale. Boom, round 1. You pick up the win there, turn the win light on. You're there to the finish line first. Tom White says, one bad hot rod. It definitely is. Look, I got to ask, what color red is that car? Because that is a beautiful red. It's got some different quality to it than anything that seems typical. What red is it?
I really don't know. You'd have to ask Charlie's Body Shop.
All right, we're going to get down to that then, because that is a beautiful, beautiful red, and it's a beautiful car. You get round 1, and now we'll take a look. As you said, it worked out for you that you are going to face Mr. Hackett in another beautiful stalker, that Mercury of his, Mercury Poison, last year's champion, and y'all are battling it, duking it out. Well, you've got your fate in your own hands. You can control your destiny and take him out for an opportunity at the championship. So, folks, let me set this up. This is no different than like Ron Capps versus Matt Hagan. This is no different than like Greg Anderson versus Erica Enders. Maybe less horsepower, maybe not quite the rivalry, even though I hope this continues between Mercury and Chevrolet. This will be good on into 2022. I hope it continues. But, folks, this was big, and as big as it gets, I think, in Sega action. Let's look at it. Boom, red light comes on in the lane you're not in, and you pick up the win. And look, did you see the red light? Did you see the win light all down the whole way? And what were your thoughts? Because if you did, I know you got to be thinking, man, I've just got my shot.
Yes, I did see the red light, but I was going for lane choice, and I made the best run of the event. I actually got the record on that run, but I didn't back it up later.
Guys, look at that. He's not worried about celebrating. He's got to get a job done. Goes out there and makes the best run of the event for the Super Stalkers and gets lane choice for the next round. Speaking of the next round, we'll dive right into the semifinal matchup later there in the day. You can see twilight is occurring, and he gets the job done once again against another champion, former champion in the station wagon. So, ladies and gentlemen, take a look at this one.
Now, Allison just coming in. Ron Allison's in, the 77-year-old, who sits in the left-hand lane. And Crawford. Come
Ron, you must have had the competition scared or something because they knew that you had a bad hot rod. So, folks, if you're watching there, you see the red light come on in Ron's lane. But what happened is his competitor even left before the tree was activated. So that's why Ron picks up the win. And look, if people have got to do that, Ron, they know you bad fast.
But you won't believe this. Honestly, I seen my red light and said, how did I mess this up? I thought I lost until Mitch stopped me and told me I was just beating myself up. I didn't know how I could have done that. But he left, and when I seen him leave, I left and I red lighted 1700s. So he really left soon. So
that he did, and man, wow, what a roller coaster of emotions for you. Then you red light, you think you've lost it, you lost your chance to get the championship because you just mentioned the tie. You didn't have the tie break. Oh wow, I bet you were fit to be tied in that car.
Oh, I was beating myself up bad.
Well, you get it done. After all that roller coaster of emotion, we go into the final round. And ladies and gentlemen, this is an interesting setup. You've got the 77-year-old man that has gone on a tear and has won the championship by the round that he thought he lost it in, as he just shared with us. Now he's got an opportunity to win the season finale, and he's going up against a rookie, like first ever Sega Super Stock race ever, and he's in the finals. So we got a very interesting spectrum of age and veteran status and rookie status. So we'll take a look right now at the final round from Shady Side, if I can find it. Here it is. It got a little wild in the other lane, but you went on to win it and win the event. Did you even notice anything that was going on in the other lane?
No, I was gone.
That you were, sir. That you were. You were gone to victory lane. You pick up the win. You've got the championship. I've got this photo of I don't have it. Nope, I don't have it. I'll tell you what. I'll pull this one back up. Look at you there from victory lane. Happy, holding that big old trophy for champion, and even got the matching fire suit, man, red and white, matching the car, styling and profiling. So 2022, you're definitely going to keep driving, I'm sure, because you definitely done good enough. You don't have to put another driver in. You've proven to yourself and everybody else that you can stay in that car and win in that car. So what does 2022 look like? Going to stay in super stock? Going to maybe move up to C gas, or what's the plans, man?
Staying in super stock. We are bringing on a Poppy's Toy too in A gas, which Larry Pritchett will be driving. So I'll stay in super stock. He's going to be in A gas. So we'll have two Poppy's Toys there.
All right, very cool. Will it be a Chevy 2 as well, or will it be another? It will be as well. Okay.
It's identical.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Identical, just taking place in the fastest cars on the property for the Southeast Gasser Association. Very cool. Very cool. Well, Ron, look, once again, congratulations. Thank you for your time on the show. And I want to give you the floor, one, to say thank you to whoever you need to say thank you, but make sure you look in that camera after you get done saying thank you, and you tell all your competitors that you're going to be back there next year and you're bringing hell with you because you're going to bring it to the competition again. All right. So you give the thanks and you give the warning.
I got a KO USA. It's perfect timing for them. They make small four-wheelers and motorcycles. I hope they come back on as a sponsor next year. the best product on the market for the money. It's a very good. And Christmas is here. The kids, grandkids, think about them. Just Google KOUSA and look for your closest dealer. Of course, I got to thank Larry and Eunice Pritchett for all the help, all the work they've done, and Ian Landis at Mid-South Racing, Don McDonald at Custom Metal Fab. He really has put a lot of work in the car. And I want to thank Johnny Powell of Hub Savers. Nobody should leave home without a Hub Saver. He really has worked for the Southeast Gassers. He helps them. And, of course, I want to thank Wayne Stott and the Southeast Gassers for letting this event happen. They're growing. They're doing good. And, yes, I will be back in 2022 and be faster, I hope.
He hopes. I don't think there's no hoping about it. I'm sure he's going to be faster. Look, I'm looking forward to catching more Southeast Gasser races hopefully next year. And I definitely am going to keep my eye on what I hope is a budding rivalry between the Mercury and the Chevy. I hope that we can play off that all next year for sure. Well, Ron, thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you down the road, sir.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Ron Allison, 2021 Superstock Southeast Gasser Association champion. Great to have him on the show. Man, let me give a shout out to these guys. So many of these guys. We had Ken Singleton on. Gabriel Burrell was on last weekend. Now, Ken is a Funny Car Chaos guy, but A-Gas champion Southeast Gasser Association last week. And then you got Ron Allison this week. And look, they got the car in the background. There's banners in the background. Like, man, some of these NHRA guys, they hop on. They're like in their truck, and they got to turn the light on in their truck to have anything on them. Like, you're professionals. You don't have something set up. What's going on? And then you get someone from the Southeast Gassers Association or somebody from Funny Car Chaos, and they have the setup. They have the background. They're displaying the car. And just, yeah, they got it going on. They got it going on. So kudos to all of them. Ladies and gentlemen, love talking to these individuals. I agree with you, Terry. Good job, Mr. Allison. Love talking to the Southeast Gasser guys. Love talking to the Funny Car Chaos guys, PDRA, NHRA, anything drag racing. As I like to say, and I firmly believe this is the most diverse drag racing talk show that there is. If it's drag racing, we'll talk to them. We'll talk about it. And I also want to say thank you to each and every one of you that are watching. I started Monday Morning Racer in part not to become a drag racing media type, not to just work with the top fuel teams, and not just go to events and film them and get in free. I mean, there's times I still pay, and I don't even use my media privilege to some extent. I wanted there to be a community. I enjoy when Stan comments and Drag Racing Central and American Hot Rod Entertainment, and CF Mechanic and Madison Hawkins and Terry Turner. All you that have chimed in, thank you for watching, and thank you for being a part of Between the Slicks. I enjoy the dialogue between each and every one of you that watch. I appreciate it. Thank you for being right here on Between the Slicks. Drag Racing Central says, ever thought about bringing Mike Decker Jr. on the show? Yes and no, Drag Racing Central. So yes, in that one, I'm willing, and no, I haven't thought about him in particular. But I would like eventually to get to a point with the show that I'm bringing on like the champions of all these other series that are not NHRA. And what I mean by that, like, for example, Wes Buck and his show, they kind of got to Sean Bellemere before I did, but we've had him here before. I was going to get him to come on as champion of Midwest Drag Racing Series and the national champion at that level in Alcohol Funny Car, but they got to him first. We'll probably still have him on. Maybe we'll have him on and have him situated at the beginning of the racing season for those series and talk to him in retrospect and also very closely looking ahead. And I do hope, maybe very well, right here on Between the Slicks, we'll have Ron Capps individually and Steve Torrance and Matt Smith and Greg Anderson, possibly. Maybe, again, looking forward to where so many others right now are having them right after fresh their championship wins. One of the reasons, having the Southeast Gasser Association guys, though, and gals, is one, the drag racing that is happening there. I love to call it drag racing reenactment in the real life under extreme competition. And I just appreciate and I love what they're doing. It is great drag racing. The cars are the cars. There's such great characters. I mean, look, Ron tonight, 77-year-old, former record holder of a speed record in jet skis, done legend car racing. And like we said, we got to go look and check out that crash at Huntsville Speedway that happened for him. And he gets in the drag racing. He's like, oh, if I don't do good, I'll find someone to put in the car. And what does he go out and do? He picks up 5 wins and includes the championship and knocks off head-to-head the defending champion. That's a darn good story. And I feel that there are stories in drag racing from media to crew to owner to driver to sponsor that need to come out. And we need to hear them. I would love to have John Force on the show one day, but it's not a priority. I honestly would rather have had a Ron Allison, a Gabriel Burrell, because what they did in their lives and in their racing story, their drag racing story, to them, it's just as big as what John may have done. And it might be the only time. So I love getting those stories. And if y'all have got any recommendations, you got any contacts, or maybe you want to have someone on the show, I am open to that and having them on the show. CF Mechanic says, have you heard of the Red List series? I have not. If you want to send me some information, again, email is there in the ticker. It's going by right now, MondayMorningRacer@gmail.com. Maybe shoot me an email and I'll look it up and have some information on it. But thank you all for watching right here Between the Slicks. Be on the lookout. We may go live Tuesday night. Obviously, next week is Thanksgiving, and I'm not going to go live on Thanksgiving night. I might be in a coma, a food coma, and after enjoying Mom's good cooking and turkey and all the good fixings. So I'm not going to go live then, and I hope each and every one of you that are watching, you do have a great Thanksgiving. And I hope that we might be able to go live Tuesday night, maybe before the Competition Plus Power Hour. We'll see who's out there. We'll see who we can get on. Definitely, though, we're not done with the Southeast Gasser Association champions. We still got to get the B-Gas and C-Gas champions on. So that is the plan, to have those two champions on as well in the future. Randy Edmonds says, great show as always. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Let me remind each and every one of you, you saw that footage that we played, some round-by-round action there with just Mr. Ron Allison. Well, you can see the full elimination video of Superstock Southeast Gassers Association action on Monday Morning Racer, the YouTube channel. By the way, if you want to see Southeast Gasser Association action live, you can. just check out southeastgassers.tv, southeastgassers.tv. One more time, southeastgassers.tv. I'm sure they'll be doing it again next year, and you can even watch that action live and be on the lookout for the official recap on their YouTube channel. If you would, hit that like button, hit that share button, come right back here on what is typically Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We might be going live Tuesday, though. Be on the lookout. But come back here between the slicks, the most diverse drag racing talk show that is out there, where we talk drag racing and we give a voice to those in drag racing that might not have it otherwise. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I'm the Monday Morning Racer, who you can follow on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram, saying God bless and keep the pedal to the metal. Yes, you can now get Monday Morning Racer swag. Shop SpeedShark.com, Team SpeedShark. They can hook you up with Monday Morning Racer apparel. Not only Monday Morning Racer apparel, we're talking about apparel for Johnny Placino, Camry Caruso, Frankie the Madman Taylor, and more to come soon. Check them out at ShopSpeedShark.com or at your next race at the Speed